If it's got like, if the seed has fill and it's viable, it's gonna stay down here, it's super heavy. If it's just empty, then it's gonna get pushed up here. If it's just bits of the plant that just got scraped onto because I'm really roughhousing it, it gets blown over here.
Now remember we talked about the water cleaning method where you float seeds in water? These would not work because they're too small.
Yeah, they float no matter what you do.
Yeah, they'd just be little oatmeal seeds. So this is why we have the blower. So probably Laura will do the same thing with her grass seeds. After she kind of roughens them up, she will probably put those in the blower as well. Now we have a different seed, totally different type of seed over here. This is a larger seed. If I look at, you can see them. They look like sunflower seeds. That's because it's related to sunflower. Now for these, she can hand pick them. She literally just hand picked those seeds right out of that pile of chaff. So for her, see, there's the fruit right there. So for her, it's a little easier because she could just crush this up by hand and then look at, you see how they fall? She's got a nice clean seed. So she's easy. But what she's going to show you is when we collect seeds, okay, we need to figure out how many seeds we have. We're going to, like, these guys are collecting seeds and they have to report back numbers and pounds or else they don't get paid. So how do you do that? How do you figure out how many seeds are in a container? Well, the easy way to do that is you count out 100 seeds. So she's obviously counted out, she took 100 seeds out of here, counted them out in here. And oh, sorry, real quick, for her, it's easy to tell which ones are the good ones. They're black. If they were duds, they would be like this. They'd be white. So she picks out 100 decent black ones and go ahead and she's going to weigh them.
Put the one boat on first.
So you put,
Yeah, so you guys remember how to do that? So she's doing a tear.
and then tear it out. Just so.
Pour that one and that one. All right, and then she waits a little bit. So now she has 0.4, what is it in a gram?
Gram.
0.4 grams. So now she writes down that 100 seeds weigh 0.4 grams. And she's going to put the word fresh on it because these are fresh seeds. They just picked them. Now she will dry the seeds and then reweigh them again so she can get a dry weight. Once she knows how much 100 seeds weigh, what can you do? Do you know the math? How do you figure out? How does the math work? What's the algebra equation? So after you figure out 100 seeds, how would you figure out how many seeds are in a big pile of these?
So you take the final weight of all your collected seed, both wet and dry, and then you would divide that by your sample weight. And then from that you can assume, okay, well this is roughly so many of these units, each one of these units is 100 seeds, and then you can guesstimate how many seeds are there overall.
Exactly, because then I could say, okay, in this bag that weighs whatever, 146.5 grams, there's 15,000 seeds. With some mathematical certainty, not exactly, but it will be roughly that. And that way, that's how when you buy a seed, that's how seed companies figure it out, right? How do you get 40 seeds in a little packet of seed? They know exactly how much it is. Alrighty, so that was pretty easy for them to show you the different, I mean, it's pretty easy for seed collecting and seed harvesting. There's not too many weird tools. The blower is probably the coolest tool. The rest of it is just like smashing and crushing and picking it out with your fingers. Let's go all outside and let's go look at their growth field or the actual field of the plants. I'll let you guys go. And what they're doing is, remember we talked about, is really interesting. They're growing out these plants for seeds. They're literally, these three students here are farmers, seed farmers. Look at that beautiful field of native plants.
So right now we've got 6 fields, each with 2 species between them. And what you're seeing is our attempt to figure out the best way to go about growing them. There's also a fair number of weeds. We're really good at growing weeds out here.
Yeah.
Aside from all that,
And the fence is to basically just keep people out, rabbits out. Nothing crazy is gonna.
yeah, mostly
raccoons.
raccoons down here.
Yeah. Here's our irrigation systems. You can see they're using micro spray sprinklers. It's pretty neat. Typical agricultural grade irrigation. Ooh, look at these beautiful grasses.
Yeah, they're coming out really nice.
Okay, hold on. Laura, go stand with your glasses. I'm gonna take a picture of you. One second. Take a picture of Laura with her glasses.
Almost as tall as me.
Thank you.
Yeah, so the grasses are super overgrown right now.
Here's those seed heads you were talking about.
Exactly. Now these aren't quite ripe yet. They still got some color to them. When they get closer to this goldeny tan, that's when they're going to be ready to harvest. So when you don't have a bunch of them popping out at once, like we have now, you can be a little bit more selective. But for the most part, when we go through, we're just going to start cutting everything down more or less to
It's all done by
to get
hand.
the grade. Yep. Yep.
A lot of labor.
A lot of labor.
That's why seeds are expensive, guys. Just remember, it's not easy.
And they're precious too.
They could probably use or something in the future to harvest that one, but
Yeah, we're hoping to get some. We're hoping to use some like the same kind of things you go through to like thresh out alfalfa, just to go through and cut the rows.
this one though might be a difficult one to do that with.
This one's gonna be. This one's like pretty permanently gonna be collected either by hand or with a like a sort of like a large scale vacuum.
Oh, yeah.
As you can see, and if y'all were here personally, you'd be seeing that this is also a really good source of a pollination for native pollinators. Like it's a good food source. We have maybe like 12 or 13 Hymenoptera bee species between the wasps and the honeybees and the ground bees and the masons.
And lots of butterflies.
Lots
too.
of butterflies, lots of a lot of things.
Yeah, so this is an Encelia. So this is a plant. Both of these plants are good for restoration, and these are both potential landscaping plants in the future. This is pretty enough to be landscaping, and so is that grass.
Yeah.
Now the other little guy, the Camisonium, maybe not.
Oh, we actually have some Camisonia growing
look
that
at it.
are
Let's
like
go
a
show 'em.
couple volunteers.
Camisonia is like a little wildflower type of plant. And here, we won't get into it just right now, but you could just want to show you real quick. They're doing different soil treatments, so like compost, bark,
Yeah.
to see what's doing better.
Let me just say, yeah, we have our regular
Let's go
graph.
find. Let's see those camis.
This one over here is looking kind of something.
We're going over here. Let's go ahead and walk through. We've got a few spots that are open because the initial thing we're testing out was like successful establishment, right? So we hand plant. So these plots right here were all seeded by hand in like selected spots. These ones are all transplanted.
Oh,
And if
interesting.
you all know if y'all remember anything about native plants, they would much rather apparently grow from seed in the ground in the area they're used to than be grown in a greenhouse.
So did you guys catch that? So this was all seed, just scattered seed, right?
Yeah.
And then over here, look what happens when they transplant. Plant didn't do as well, did they?
Nope.
See that? So that's something sometimes growers have to deal with. Remember, transplanting, a lot of times it's a lot harder than the germination on the plant, at least. Survival. Really nice. So the Camisonia looks like a little weed. It's not very, right now it does anyways. In the spring it's pretty.
Well, we got a few.
Yeah.
We got a lot of flowering. We got a lot of flowering on them right now.
Here's one. Oh yeah, here we go.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say all right here.
That's a beautiful little one.
Yep.
Oh yeah, look at them.
And we got them all grown right
Those
here.
are from the seeds that probably fell, huh?
If you look, yeah, all this is all this hasn't been replanted. So what you're seeing is kind of the seed that we didn't collect from the last time we went through and cleaned out the fields.
There are these black beetles here. These are in the desert here for some of you bug people. These are darkling beetles. Those are good beetles. Good guys. But yeah, here's a really pretty little Camisonia right here.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like much, but these are plants that are, again, are either threatened or are important to their habitat somehow. That are, I believe the story on the Camisonia is weed pressure. Oh, here's a velvet ant.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah,
Those
the
are so
Camisonia gets outcompeted by like bromeliad, gets outcompeted by a lot of like invasive annual plants.
Yeah.
And it's also like in its environment, this is a really good plant for pollinators. It's a really solid food source for tortoises.
Oh yes, I forgot about turtle. This is a main turtle food. So yeah, that's why even though it's little and not the prettiest thing, it has an important part to it. There's a little here's a little skipper. Now the grass, that beautiful grass out there, and that beautiful yellow daisy further out, both of those bigger plants, their problem is habitat destruction.
Yep.
They're not being outcompeted by weeds. Their habitat, for example, this grass grows out in the desert where there's a high water table, and those are prime places for agriculture. And then the Encelia, which is the bush with the yellow flowers over there, that biggest problem for that one has been wildfires and just plain old habitat destruction. So this is kind of cool. Remember, the Seeds of Success is literally farming, making farms of native plant seeds. And hopefully these guys will all get into business together and start a nursery and produce and sell seeds to the government, because there's not that many people doing it right